Hi, everybody. Hi, Alyssa. Oh my gosh. We are here and so excited. I mean, this is a big deal. This is a really, really big deal. It's a big day for epileptics all across the globe, over, I believe, 65 million. Yeah, and this is just what an awesome day. What an awesome day to be able to launch our very first episode of the F.e.e.d. Faces of Epilepsy Every Day. I'm so excited. Who knew even a year ago that I think either one of us would be placed in this situation, in this timing, that our paths would have crossed and aligned through epilepsy. And then we have this amazing producer, Mike Hall, that happens to be an epileptic as well, that are, just this kind of crossroads of the three of us coming together through epilepsy.
Beautiful.
And I am almost speechless at what God is doing in the earth today to bring awareness to epilepsy. And I'm overjoyed, but also just very, almost, I don't even know how to put it into words, just the feeling that I'm feeling right now, just the humbleness, the humility that I feel right now, with just being the founder of Faces of Epilepsy, connecting with Alyssa, then obviously you with Mike, to bring us all together to actually give a platform and a way and a voice for epileptics to tell their story and to bring more awareness to epilepsy, which is really not done. And so I'm excited. I want to bring Alyssa on here. Alyssa, I know you're over there on the East Coast. I'm on the very West Coast. Mike Hall somewhere in the middle. But what do you have to say to all of this? Because it wasn't that long ago that we met, over the phone, a mutual friend that said that we needed to be connected. And then, we got to meet in person in New Jersey and then Philly. And so how are you feeling today with this being the inaugural first episode of the F.e.e.d. Faces of Epilepsy? Because you are a micro-influencer to a degree.
Yes, I am. I run my own business called The Empowered Flower. But guys, when I met Lisa, it was complete fate. And then bringing Mike into this, it's incredible. I struggle with epilepsy. As Lisa said, I was diagnosed around like 3.5 to 4 years ago, and my life kind of just took a turn. And not even 1 month ago, when I met Lisa is when I really started to feel seen and heard, because she is the reason why we are doing all of this right now. And my friend that brought us together, I really do believe in miracles, and this is 100% one of them. I'm so excited to be on this podcast and to see where it goes, and just to help people in general, because we need to share our voices. We are meant to be heard. Our stories are meant to be told. And Lisa, I know that you have had a very, very hard run-in with epilepsy as well. So it's definitely going to show with 100% our voices are meant to be heard.
Yeah, I love that you said, our voices, and that there's there's a bigger purpose behind, why this podcast is actually going to be such a blessing to the epilepsy community once we start to really get it out there and promote it and be able to give a platform. I want to thank Mike Hall. Mike, I just want to take a moment and just really thank you for seeing the need in this community, and wanting to put this together. This is such a labor of love for you to really recognize that there is something here, and there's a community that is waiting to have their voices heard, and to be able to give, your time, and to be able to give your expertise in this space, to be able to, give epileptics a platform, and those that have, been challenged through epilepsy, families like myself. I'm not an epileptic, but my son, some of you have heard my story on Mike's channel before, but, my son passed of SUDEP, epilepsy. And that's kind of what took me into the path of becoming an advocate for epilepsy, because I realized that there's so little discussion about epilepsy. And Mike, I don't know if that's because of shame or guilt, or I don't know if I can necessarily put my finger on that. But, Mike, thank you so much. This is really like a Christmas miracle for us, epilepsy community. So thank you so very much.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you guys for the kind words. Secondly, yes, it's a Christmas miracle to all of us. And I think, one, it's very important. I think, Lisa, if it's okay if we back up just a couple of steps, want to let people know how important and valuable your voice is in this space for so many reasons. But you lost your son, to epilepsy related, issues, and you decided to take the fight on, as we've said before. But I've talked to more than one person that was like, how is she still here, and how has she turned that into a strength? And a lot of people would have just melted. A lot of people wouldn't have been strong. And so I'm very thankful to be working with you and to be able to kind of put this out and open this up for folks, so maybe they understand a little better. It's really important that people know that. And you are the founder of Faces of Epilepsy and the Faces of Epilepsy Everyday podcast. And it's because of your heart and your desire and legit your calling, right? To get out there and to help people, and to help people understand and know they're not alone. Because I will say, the one thing that this disease does is it makes you feel very alone. It really does. Because, you know, unless you go through it, it's hard to understand it. And so, um, caretakers are key.
Mhm.
Caretakers are the most important thing. And so, for us, people that love us, people that can help us. And so, thank you for what you're doing. And for those out there who maybe feel alone, hopefully this makes them not feel alone. The beautiful thing about this medium and what we're doing right now is that it lasts. So if somebody's feeling alone at some time, they always have this on their YouTube or on their Facebook or whatever the case, where they can listen and they can not feel so alone. So and hopefully we get to the point where we're giving good advice and good information that helps people with that peace of mind. I've got a neurologist appointment tomorrow with a new neurologist. So,
Ooh, good.
yeah, I will be sharing that info, absolutely, because we're gonna see, right? We're just gonna see. So
Yeah, absolutely. And having this opportunity, being on here with you guys, it's like one in a million. Like I said, I haven't really felt like seen. I felt alone. You know, I love my family. They're doing such a great job with me, but they don't have epilepsy. I'm not able to relate to them in certain ways. So now that I have you guys and this podcast and the fact that I could just literally, you guys are a text away, it makes me feel incredibly supported. And I want you guys to know that are watching, you are never alone. Okay. You always have the Faces of Epilepsy. You always have us. We want to hear your story. We want to hear what you have been doing for our community. We want to welcome you with open arms, because having this is not easy at all. I always remember it takes people with epilepsy 5 times more the amount of energy that it does with somebody who does not have this. Okay. And when I tell you, I used to have everything, like I used to want to do everything all the time. Then all of a sudden, I started having these seizures when I was diagnosed. I feel like I can't even get out of bed some days. Like I was saying to Lisa and Mike before, my stomach was hurting really bad. I wasn't able to get good sleep tonight or last night. And I was like, oh gosh, like, what am I going to do? I have the podcast. But then I remembered, no, this is what this podcast is for. Talking about our ailments, talking about how certain things makes us feel. And then we still have the power to go do what we are meant to and to talk to you guys. Because we are sharing our stories. Yeah, it really did suck this morning. Everyone's laughing like, yeah, you know how it is. It's just such an honor. So thank you guys. Seriously, I don't know what to do without you guys.
We love you so much. You know, thank you for sharing that, Alyssa. Mike, you know, I think that to the degree to what you said, it's real. And I got started to get really emotional because I feel like people can rewrite their stories.
Yes.
You know, they can rewrite their stories or tell their story in a way that rewrites the history of how something can be perceived on the other end of who is listening. There's a story, I don't know if you guys have heard it, but maybe your audience has, or our new audience has, but it's about a gentleman that was bit by a dog. And he tells this story in one way where if he tells the story that he was bit by a dog and he wants people to feel sorry for him, he'll tell it in a certain way. Oh, this dog bit me. I was so scared. I was so afraid. Everybody's out to hurt me. Everybody's out to get me. Or he can tell it in a way where he got bit by the dog, but everybody came to his aid. People came to care for him. The nurses were amazing, you know, and the whole story can be told in a different way. And I think that's the beautiful thing about this platform with Faces of Epilepsy, now this new podcast with F.e.e.d, is that we're able to help people to rewrite their stories, Mike, as you said and kind of alluded to, so that people know that they're not alone. Alyssa talked about it, you know, talking about that she actually lives with this daily. So does Mike. So I think that's a really big piece of what people can look forward to with regard to the F.e.e.d and Faces of Epilepsy every day.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. And sharing our stories and like communicating with one another through our own experiences, telling our stories in a certain way. When you said that, I was like, wait, we have the power to rewrite our own stories. Yes. And we have the power to see it in a certain way. So it's like, yes, I have epilepsy, but that doesn't stop me from getting what I want. It might be a little harder, but that means you've got so many other people supporting you as well, because you aren't afraid to ask for help. People who have epilepsy, it's not a bad thing to ask for help. I had to learn that. Because I was so obsessed with doing everything myself when I was younger. I'm 25 now. And I thought that if I asked for help that I was seen as worthless or like I wasn't able to get things done, or, you know, I'm not good enough. But guys, it's the complete opposite. The fact that you can ask for help, you should. Everybody. Because especially within the epilepsy community, it is, one, it's worth it. And two, we love supporting each other. So why not, right? It's amazing.
Yeah.
It-
I want to say something to that, Mike, on that degree too, because you both are epileptics, and I am actually a parent of an epileptic who lost his life to SUDEP. I feel like people, in myself included, my family, around my son, do you feel that people look at, like, even epileptics look at like a seizure as an isolated event? So in other words, you had a grand mal seizure, or you had a tonic-clonic, or you had a focal seizure, and it was one event, and then that's it, and it's done. And whereas other chronic conditions, because epilepsy is a chronic illness, we're looking for a cure for epilepsy. We're believing for a cure for epilepsy. Whereas, like, with type 1 diabetes, which is also a chronic illness, it's more prevalent because they're wearing the monitors, they're having to do something every moment, their diet's changing, different things like that. I'm wondering if people look at seizures as just one isolated event, and they don't look at the byproduct of what epilepsy actually does to your body. It causes you to lose your cognitive function as you're having these seizures. It breaks down your brain. You're not as sharp. You're not as on point. There's things, and maybe you two can speak into that, because I'm wondering if there's a piece there where people are kind of in the audience are saying, yeah, that's the way I feel. Like, it's one isolated event, a seizure, and then nothing else. They don't really think there's other things going on: depression, fatigue, mood, anxiety, and the list goes on and on and on.
Absolutely. If I can speak to that just real quick, and then I'll let you run, Alyssa. Basically, I think it's a combination of a couple of things. One, your neurologist doesn't tell you. I don't know if they're not trained, they're not taught. It's just not the way that industry is set up. But your GP, your general practice, your basic doctor is not going to tell you, because that's not what they do. They're going to tell you to ask your neurologist. Your neurologist is basically going to either give you meds, say meds don't help you, good luck, and that's it. A neurologist isn't like, okay, so after the seizure, you're going to have some depression and some mood swings, possibly. You're going to feel nauseated. You're going to have mild amnesia possibly hit you again. There's going to be all kinds of things like that. You're going to have the weird memory flashback of, you'll be sitting there doing nothing, and all of a sudden a memory when you were 5 years old pops up extremely vividly, and you're like, what's going on? And why do I remember, Thanksgiving 1993 for some, whatever the case, right? So your neurologist usually doesn't talk to you about those things, so you're not aware. I think that is one, and then I think the other is we suffer from external optimism. And it's one of those situations where you go, hey, I haven't had a seizure in 2 weeks, I haven't had a seizure in 3 weeks, I'm cured, I'm never going to have a seizure again, let's go. And you try to live your life like that, and you can't blame anyone for wanting that, right? But, like, sometimes you have to be real, as we spoke on before, acceptance. Because if you can accept you have this thing and you can understand it, then you can work on it. But until you can admit that you're living with this thing, it can be hard to kind of take the steps to get the help you need, or even the education and understanding that you need to kind of manage the condition.
Oh, absolutely. Everything that you said is so accurate. When I was listening, I was like, "Ooh, yep, that was me. Ooh, yep, that was me." I remember when I was 5 years old at Thanksgiving. Yep, had those flashbacks before. Living with epilepsy, and going off of what Lisa said now, it is definitely not a walk in the park. And the depression that hits you sometimes when you're taking certain medications, that is a big one. I actually had Keppra rage, if you guys know what that is. If you don't, it's basically when you take Keppra and then it messes with your mood, and you get crazy mood swings. And for those of you, again, I know that we just met on here, for those of you listening, but I was the happiest, go luckiest, sassy, sweet little girl. And all of a sudden these seizures hit. And I didn't want to get out of bed. I was so depressed. I couldn't move. My whole body was aching from head to toe. My family was like, what happened to you? I loved singing, dancing around, talking, going outside, being with people. Epilepsy sometimes takes that away. Being on Keppra, being on these certain medications, even though they are saving us from having seizures sometimes, they could also be manifesting their way in your body in certain ways that we still don't even know. And with what Mike said, going back onto the neurologist and how they're only telling you, they only tell you certain things. Oh, just take this medication. Let me know how you're feeling. They don't actually educate you in what epilepsy really is. And that is what I just said, plus a whole bunch of other things. So guys, if you're dealing with epilepsy, you have the power to speak on it. The migraines that you might get are going to be insane. I'm also experiencing hair fallout. Now, I'm not sure if that's just from my form of epilepsy, but the stress that it causes on your body, your hair will fall out. You will have memory loss. That's probably one of my biggest things. Mike, do you suffer from memory loss too sometimes, or no? Is he here, Mike?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't realize without the camera I couldn't. I
It's
was
okay.
also muted. Absolutely. And as we wrap up this very first episode, thank you so much, Alyssa. We're going to get more into that on Wednesday. As you know, we're every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're going to get deeper into that because I think it's very important. Want to let everybody know that you can find us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on this channel. Make sure you tune in. And Lisa, if you'd leave us all with something, what would you like to leave us all with?
I think the important thing today to remember is that you can rewrite that story. So, whether you're an epileptic and you have epilepsy and, you're feeling alone, now you have a community, Faces of Epilepsy. Thanks to Alyssa, thanks to Mike, to help you to be able to be seen, be heard, and not feel alone. And then I think the other thing is that, stay positive while you're going through this journey. Take it easy on yourself. And I think the third thing would just be if you are someone that has a loved one with epilepsy, take it easy on them. And, remember that you may not have them forever. They're there to be treasured. Because they're sort of divine in nature, really. I think the reason why epilepsy hasn't gotten the traction or the awareness that it needs to is because people don't understand it. And when people don't understand things, they don't really talk about it. They don't really know how to communicate about it. And so hopefully through F.e.e.d, we can give more understanding and communication and conversation around epilepsy so that everyone feels like they belong to a community that that is special.
Beautiful. I couldn't have said it better myself, Lisa.